Hey guys, it's MD here, and today we're carrying on the build for the Amazon River tank Rio Negro. So here is where we're at. Last video, you see this here. We just put it in there because I basically wanted to get something going, just to set this sort of scene or the theme, or either or. A bit bright, isn't it? There we go. My head's less shiny now, but still got quite a nice little ting to it. So yeah, first thing I'm going to need to do is take those two top bits out, and then this piece here, I'm going to need to raise it up to about 45, no, not 45, 30 degrees. We'll go 30 degrees. Oh, this is very specific, isn't it? 30 degree wood, and then we need to multiply that, but just get it in there. There we go. Look, that is much more like the angle that I'm after. The only thing is that that rock there will be wasted. You won't see it there with all the other stuff I've got going in front of it, all the other wood, the rocks, sticks, that kind of thing. And it looks so much like the actual rocks you get in the Rio Negro. So I don't want to waste it because I haven't got that many of them. So I'm going to take that one away, replace it with an ugly rock. Just for the time being, you shouldn't really see it in a little bit. I mean, there are no ugly rocks, don't get me wrong, but look, I mean, look at the difference. You can clearly see. I might even push it back a little bit further, so it's not in the way at all. But before that, we need to keep the line sort of going in the next piece, and then maybe the final piece can come in at the opposite angle, just to give it that sort of variation. And what do you call that again? It's actually like a technique that's used when you go the opposite to the flow. Anyway, it doesn't matter, you know what I'm getting at. So like flow, and then opposite that way, and maybe another piece up there as well. We'll see. It's hard to tell these things at the moment. Just get it in and keep going. So now we've got the opposite problem. In my opinion, these are far too sort of upright and too parallel. Nah, not good. Keep going. Okay, after a lot of messing around, I managed to find what I was looking for. So I'm going to take that and put it all the way up in the corner a little bit more. I want it to look like a whole tree trunk is in the river in that back section, and the rest can be the sort of branches and everything, the foreground. Finally it's slotted together. I didn't know how. I took it out, swapped it round, and it's slotted in nicely, and it's created a really good sort of wall as well for all of that coarse gravel that we're going to have to put down the back there. Oh yes, so pleased with that. Again though, so that's a little bit too flat. We need to come up just a little bit more. Oh, there we go. We're nailing it. We're right across there, so we've left a gap there. We need something to come into this side just to tie it all in, because at the moment it looks like, I don't know, it just looks like a block. We need it less blocky, more sort of tapering off. Oh yeah, that just works really well, doesn't it? It sort of looks like it's twisted there, twisted back on itself, and it looks like one piece that's just all sort of morphed. Ideal. A great big sort of piece of wood or log or tree that's fallen into the river. Anyway, over here, look, we're going to be able to put loads of plants and things on this top section here and behind there. Because like last time I had plants all the way across the top, which was cool, but it kind of like, I don't know, lost its impact. Maybe I'm going to do like bigger ones here, and there's some floating ones. I don't know yet. I mean, you will hear me say, I don't know yet a lot. For those of you that don't know me or know the channel, I just make everything up as I go along. I don't have a plan. Lots of aquascapers actually do have a plan, but that's just not something I enjoy, so I don't do it. I just do what I enjoy, and that's getting stuck in and just making it fit, hopefully.
So that is the main framework, the structure. Everything else now is placed around that, with that being the main sort of spine, I guess. Is that good work? We'll call that the spine. It kind of looks like a person on their side with a leg. I don't know. Anyway, over this side we're going to start building up that rock area, just so that I've then got a wall, if you like, a retaining wall for all of the coarse gravel and everything to go behind, just to fill out that section. Like I said before, we don't want that filling up with detritus and waste. So yeah, I'm just now using these larger pieces, just placing them in kind of randomly, so they're closing gaps. And I can have it coming out following that flow a little bit, and a little bit more. Now I'm deliberately not making this sort of perfect, because it's supposed to look like it's sort of naturally fallen in a certain way. Like that's too perfect. Everything's going one way there. Spin that around. Stick it there, that's better. There we go, much more realistic. And then perhaps a smaller one in that section. And then what I will do is bring some more out in the foreground there as well. And perhaps one up there as well. Make sure it's locked in because you don't want to smash a glass, obviously. The best way to make sure it's locked in, everyone knows it, internationally known, the tap test. If you can tap it and it doesn't collapse, you're probably going to be all right. But I want to put it right underneath here, right in. That's not going anywhere. That's not supporting it, but it's locked underneath it. I like that, looks good. And I'm loving the variation of the colours there as well. That yellow one, yellowy brown one, really does look good. But what I might do in a moment is when I'm putting in more sand, lift some of these, raise them a little bit and then go a little bit higher again. But for the moment, I just want to get the basic areas. So we need some over this side as well in that gap. Click subscribe. Right, yeah, that's looking absolutely epic so far. I'm really pleased with how it's turning out, how it's evolving, because again, I didn't plan it. But it's just making little adjustments as you go, stepping back like we are now and looking. So this piece here, just off center, because it looks way better if you don't put like focal points in the center of the tank. And also notice I've gone for rounded stones, and that's because in a fast flowing river, everything eventually ends up rounded, doesn't it? So if I had like jaggedy rocks in there, it probably wouldn't look as good. Something would probably look off, or I'm talking rubbish, it'd look great either way. So what I can do now is use these, remember, the bags, just to fill out some of those back areas initially. So for instance, you know, it goes right back, doesn't it there, look? And I could just put them at least at this side bit, build it up a bit. And then in a moment, I can place on top of that an absolute ton of the coarser gravel. That'll just lock all the gaps all around it. And then on top of that, we can sprinkle some finer gravel or whatever we want to, really. Right, there we go. Now let's pack it all out with gravel or coarse sand around the back. I've got a mix of stuff I can use here. Driveway gravel from an area that cars haven't been, so there's no oils and stuff on it. Oh yeah, I've got a couple more bags there as well, that's good. Yeah, a load of mix of different things, and lava rock and crushed lava rock, coarser gravel. Then I've got this sort of pea gravel as well. I've got a full bag of that. This stuff's already clean. This stuff will need washing though. Well, I could put it in, but it would take ages for the water to clear when I first fill it up, and I can't be doing with that. Right then, coarse gravel in first. Right as that base layer, just chuck it down. We only want like a thin layer of this one. Now I mainly use this one for the edges like this, look, right by that rock. Put it up, and then none of the finer stuff is going to fall through. Not that it will matter too much on this scape, because it'll actually look quite good, some of the, you know, the finer gravel going through. It'll add realism. We'll add some of that as well in a minute. Just want to get it all in the little nooks and crannies. Now just filling out that back area. So that's all the coarse gravel poured in. Look, you can see it there, sort of peeking through. Don't worry about that, you won't be able to see it by the time we're done. This area here next, we need to start putting on like a more fine gravel, you know, this stuff that we just washed out, because that'll be somewhere that the roots can go into, and on top of that we can put more of this fine sand at the foreground here. So as we're doing this, I'm going to put it behind as well, this whole section. Yeah, that whole section there is going to drip through, pour, sprinkle, I don't know, it's going to fall through the finer stuff, going to come in the foreground a little bit. That's okay. We can either cover it up or leave it, like just see how it looks. It might look really good actually. I'm thinking that gravel down there might go well with these stones, but we'll see, we'll see. Right, we're looking really good, and now we're at the stage where we can start building up this sand, because that's just a thin dusting, it's got no sort of depth to it. Start building it up to about this level here, wave it in and amongst all these rocks and just give height to that back area. I can also lift up the rocks, put more sand in and place them back on. Again, lifting them up the scape a little bit, not too much, but just stop it looking so flat on the bottom there. There we go, now we're getting somewhere. We've got our planting areas. I might raise this area in the centre as well up a little bit, just a bit more, because that's where I want the height for the planting, because down in the foreground is where all that detail is going to be. Now, in the last video, a few people were asking about these light brackets and that, so that's the DIY thing I made for this tank setup. I'll overlay now what I actually did to create it. It's not complicated at all, but it works well. It looks half decent, doesn't it? I mean, yeah, it's not high end, is it? But it didn't cost hardly anything. Like I say, these LED lights are really cheap, 20 watts. I'll leave a link in the description. Go buy them, you can use them, they grow plants really, really well. As you saw, they were on the tank before and you saw what the plants were like, so good. Yeah, next job now, we've got that background in. We need to work on this foreground area, we need to create details. I want lots of bits of wood, finer wood as well, so it looks like, I don't know, just a ton of botanicals, finer sticks and twigs. I want it to look like a flooded forest, that's hard to say, flooded forest floor, you know, just complete sort of chaos down there, but in a real natural and, you know, visually pleasing way. I mean, it's not going to be for everyone. Some people were like, a nice dwarf hairgrass carpet all across. No, we're not doing that, we're going for realism. Now we are going to be having some plants in here as well, not too many, but we still need to add some nutrients to that substrate because at the moment it's just sand. Yeah, most plants will pull nutrients from the water column, but in things like Amazon swords, they're massive roots on them. They need a lot of nutrients in the soil. So I'm going to be putting a load of root tabs in the planting areas. Now these last months, so you know, we're going to be all good for quite a while. You can actually see in the plants when they're lacking, there's certain nutrients as well. And when it comes to that point, you can just add more root tabs. It's all good. Now the next thing we need to do now is go and get our main sort of foreground details. So sticks, botanicals, those kind of things. I want branches coming in, lots of sort of smaller twig-like branches coming in, and then lots on the bottom as well. It needs to look crazy. Right, I'm in a little runoff area. It's really bright out here, outside my studio, and there's sticks down on the ground here. I've used them before in setups, and they work so, so well, and I know they're safe. So I don't actually know what kind of tree this is, but look down on the floor. We've got loads of these sticks like this, and these are all really good because look, if I snap, oh, hang on. They're all dry, they're all dead, but they're just the right sort of thickness and texture that we need. So I'm going to collect a bunch of them up and just start putting them in the tank. And as I'm looking around, look, I'm finding lots of really good leaves as well that we can use. Just put them all on the bottom. I've got some other leaves, some proper catappa leaves as well. So yeah, we've got loads to choose from. So what I'm doing now is I'm just laying the sticks in. I'm trying to create still that sort of flow, and then every now and then I'll add something in that sort of goes different to it. Like this piece here can come down a little bit straighter because it's at the edges. I'm going to try and do the edges like more straight, and then it swoops into the middle. It just sort of give it an interesting perspective, I think. Don't be afraid to snap your wood as well, like, to get it to twist how you want it to. You still want to make sure that you're not getting the twigs on the front glass. It's going to be impossible to clean otherwise, isn't it? Just kicking it all up and going everywhere. And then the same again on this side as well. Oh yes, that's looking so good. It's like ultimate nature, isn't it? But what I'm going to need to do is some of these are lodged in, but some of them aren't. I'm not sure what is and isn't. So I'm just going to go around at key points like, you know, let's see this bit here. I'll just put a little dab of cyanoacrylate super glue gel on. That'll lock it on, all fish safe, all plant safe. And it just means that when I fill it up, I don't have to worry about anything lifting up, because it's so disappointing when you get it perfect. Like I've got like a sort of bowl going on with then some parts trailing on the bottom there and there, but I think it looks really good. If that didn't stay like that and all started to move around, I'd be annoyed. I mean, it probably looks like a mess on camera, but you know, it's my mess, and I took a while to get it like that. Right, so I brought some of the sticks on this side down a little bit. I just felt there was too much going on in that area, but I think we're there. I'm absolutely loving that. So now we definitely can glue it all. Right, there we go, guys. I think we're looking absolutely great. In the next video, this whole thing's gonna absolutely transform into an amazing, proper looking river. I cannot wait for that. Hopefully you can't either. Click the like and subscribe button, and I will see you on the next one.